Let this be our national goal. At the end of this decade, in the year 1980, the United States will not be dependent on any other country for the energy we need to provide our jobs, to heat our homes, and to keep our transportation moving.
The time has come to put the national interest above the special interest and to totally eliminate political action committees.
We're going forward with research on a new Orient Express that could, by the end of the next decade, take off from Dulles Airport, accelerate up to 25 times the speed of sound, attaining low Earth orbit, or flying to Tokyo within 2 hours.
By the end of the next decade, he was speaking that by the end of the 90s, an Orient Express in space, 2 hours DC to Tokyo. Hasn't it been amazing? I love the State of the Union address. Any president, any year. If you are a civics dork, you love the State of the Union. It's lots of politics, yes, but it's also tons of policy. More than the debates, more than the press conference of a typical president, lots of specific policy ideas. The trade-off, though, to getting all that policy in a State of the Union address is that a lot of the specific policies that a president puts forward in that speech don't ever come true. Here's one idea, though, from last month's State of the Union address that I thought probably would not come to pass because it involved Republican participation. I thought that's never going to happen. Turns out it's going to happen.
So tonight I'm announcing a nonpartisan commission to improve the voting experience in America, and it definitely needs improvement. I'm asking two longtime experts in the field who, by the way, recently served as the top attorneys for my campaign and for Governor Romney's campaign, to lead it. We can fix this, and we will. The American people demand it, and so does our democracy.
The idea of a presidential commission to fix voting problems in this country. You know, as of this week, we now know that this idea, which I thought was one of those things you say in the State of the Union that just poof and goes away forever, turns out it has not been relegated to the remainder bin of big presidential speech-making ideas. It is not a low-orbit Orient Express a la Ronald Reagan. It's actually happening. Yesterday afternoon, President Obama signed an executive order to actually form that commission. And the Republican co-chair he said he was going to appoint to the commission, Mitt Romney's campaign lawyer, Ben Ginsburg, he is in fact going along with it. The order asks Mr. Ginsburg and his Democratic counterpart, Bob Bauer, to come up with a variety of ways to shorten voting lines and to generally make elections more efficient. It also directs the commission to submit a report to the president within 6 months. So that is what's happening at the executive level, an order from the president looking for solutions to our country's miserable voting problems. Meanwhile, in the states, Republicans are still doing everything they can to make the problems worse. New requirements banning people from voting if they do not show documentation that they never had to show before in order to vote. New rules to that effect are on the move in Arkansas over the veto of the Democratic governor there. Republican Governor Bob McDonnell in Virginia, Governor Ultrasound, he just signed one of those bills for Virginia as well this week. In North Carolina, Republican legislators there filing 2 bills to cut North Carolina's early voting window in half and to eliminate same-day voter registration. And that's just this week. So far this year, Republican lawmakers in 30 states have proposed 55 different new voting restrictions to make voting harder than it already is. 55 this year, since the election. The folks at Project Vote are calling it an onslaught. But President Obama's election night statement that this is something we need to try to fix, and then the promise that he made to try to start fixing it in his State of the Union address, that at least is actually happening. Starting now, the papers have been signed. Baby steps against an onslaught of legislation in the opposite direction. But still, baby steps are better than no steps.
We're going forward with research on a new Orient Express that could, by the end of the next decade, take off from Dulles Airport, accelerate up to 25 times the speed of sound, attaining low Earth orbit, or flying to Tokyo within 2 hours.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. We do not give up. Expect surprises. Subscribe.